Welcome to the Dr. Frank and Steve podcast with your host, Dr. Frank Williams and Dr. Steve Snodgrass, MD, FACS, where we discuss a broad range of topics without limitations. Let's get to it. Here's Dr. Frank and Dr. Steve.
Hello, welcome. This is the Dr. Frank and Steve podcast. Today is a little different. We do a lot on physicians versus non-physicians and the healthcare industry as a whole and globally. Today we are covering art, as we will be over the next few episodes. So I'm Frank Williams, your host. This is Dr. Steve Snodgrass, and we're going to talk about basically why we created the Williams-Snodgrass Art Gallery and what it has to offer for people, whether you're a brand new artist or whether you're a seasoned artist. Our hope is that people of all walks, creeds of life can find a place where they can let their creative spirit go forward and actually produce something and then sell something that brings joy to everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and let Steve give you a little bit about his background and why we created this, and then we'll jump in. We'll even have a video explaining how you can become part of the Williams-Snodgrass Art Gallery and become gallery representative. Steve?
Thank you, Frank. First of all, I am working injured, so,
I thought maybe you were going bowling.
No, it's like, even though really hurt, I'm gonna play anyway. So here we go.
This isn't going to be used as like evidence against your wife or something?
No, no, it is carpal tunnel syndrome.
Okay.
So there we go. I think from decades of riding my bicycle, but it's part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, how all this started was that I've had an interest in the martial arts for a long time because I was a surgeon, and obviously anatomy is crucial to surgical success. It's also crucial to martial arts success. So anatomy is anatomy is anatomy. And surgery is constructive, martial arts is destructive, but the knowledge base is the same. So as soon as I got out of my residency, I started taking karate, and then ended up with you, thankfully, after unfortunately, my first instructor passed away, and then I found you, and we've continued onward. And I started using the sticks and knives as part of our training with you, and I thought these motions they're beautiful motions, human motions, much like ballet, except they're deadly. And so I thought, like, what would happen if I put the sticks and knives in paint and use those same kinds of techniques and motions on canvas? And so that's what I did. I went up in my attic, and I just had on my, it was about 120 degrees up there, and it was pretty nasty. And so I go up there, and my wife says, like, what are you doing? And one of the things I always do is surprise her with some sort of weird behavior. So that fit right in. So I'm dragging the canvas upstairs in the attic and all the paint and all that stuff. So I'm ready to go. And so I start all this, and just like, there's just paint everywhere. I mean, I'm covered, the attic's covered and all that stuff. I was like, I hope she doesn't come up here. But I showed it to my brother. I wasn't sure when I was finished, but finally I got like, well, I'm done. And so I showed it to my brother. He's a big business guy, very objective, numbers oriented, and he's going to tell you the truth. And so he looked at it, and he said, you know what, that's not half bad. So to me, it's just like, hey, that's an A+.
Yeah, that was a compliment.
Big time. So I just started doing more and more, and then I finally had gotten to the point where I wanted to try to sell it. I was going, if you're going to paint it, sell it, because creating art is one thing, selling it is a whole nother thing. And I'm going to say ignorance is bliss kind of thing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, hey, I've got this painting, are you interested in putting it in your gallery, sort of thing. And I really got fortunate because I got in 3 galleries, but I got turned down so many times, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was, and some of the turn downs, you know, were civil, and some of them were just downright condescending and kind of embarrassing. And I thought, like, well, this is just not going to be acceptable. We're going to have some fun with it. At first, it upset me because, like, you know, you're coming out of the OR and you're just like, you know, you're kind of king of that room, all that sort of thing. And then when you step out of that into this, none of that really mattered. So it's like you're part of the real world now. And these galleries, and I understand it because it's like real estate. So, you know, there's only so many square feet in all these galleries that could handle so many paintings or sculptures or whatever it is. And so it's like, it's not so much they may not like your work, it's just they truly don't have the room. And, but that being said, some of them are just downright nasty. And I'll give you a for instance or so. But I called, the first thing I did was I called this one guy in New York because, you know, it's kind of like Sinatra in New York. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So I'm like, hey, you've done well in other galleries. It's time for the Big Apple. Let's see what we can do. So I talked to this guy, and he's like, my dear sir, obviously you have not done your research. And we only carry the finest art done by the best artists in the world. And obviously you're not in that kind of category. So during that, I'm looking at the website.
And looking up for flights for New York. To pay a visit.
I'm just going like, you know, this guy is really, you know, this is starting to like, I'm starting to get a little bit ruffled here. And so anyway, I got on the website, and so I'm like looking at the art that he is carrying in his gallery. And I saw 3 paintings. One was an oil painting of a rat wearing a blue bonnet. The other was a dog wearing a gas mask. And the last one was an eviscerated angel where her belly was open and her intestines were hanging out. So those were you know, I don't like to criticize other artists' work because whatever they do, hey, that's fine with me. You create whatever you feel like creating. But when the guy puts it in the context of we only carry the best in the world, I'm just going to say, well, I'm looking at your website here, and you know, for me, I'm going to put my money on the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said, by the way, just for the sake of me asking, isn't Dwayne Reed Pharmacy, isn't that kind of the pharmacy of choice for you up there in New York? And he said, yeah, why? I said, is there one close by? And he said, matter of fact, just kind of around the corner kind of thing. I said, I'm going to give you a free piece of medical advice. Go to Dwayne Reed, get a Fleets kit, and just follow the instructions on the box. And after about 30 minutes or so, you're going to feel a lot better. And then we hung up.
Imagine that. Oh my God. So when you started, was all that right around the COVID time?
Around in there. Around in there. So
if I remember right.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, I'm here, so this is a good time to do it.
And this isn't something where basically you went to art school as a kid or while you were at med school or anything that you decided to put it on the back shelf and then decided to come back and do it later. This is just something you just picked up out of the blue and decided to start doing?
Well, I always wanted to do it. I've always thought about it, but I never acted on it. I mean, it's kind of like along the lines of you hear a lot of people say like, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And, you know, by the time that all comes around, you die before you do it.
Pretty much.
So
yeah.
I was like, if I'm going to do it, now's the time, because you take a little piece of yourself and you throw it out there. I mean, realistically, it's one of those things where you're putting yourself out there for some criticism, and you're going to get it.
Well, art's subjective, so.
Absolutely. And now when I was in New York as a young man, I was in my teens, and I saw paintings done by Jackson Pollock and some of these abstract artists, and to me that fascinated me. I was really taken with what he had done, and I thought, like, that's really, to me, that's beauty. Washington crossing the Delaware, I admire the talent. Obviously, I mean, it's a magnificent painting, but I couldn't do that. But I wanted to go more in the lines of what my brain is.
Abstract.
Yes, as you call it, both of us really, the young Frankenstein reference of
Abby Normal. Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
very true.
So it was along those lines, but it's been a fascinating world, because you see firsthand what some of these people do. And the first time that I ever went to a gallery and started to try to get my paintings there, it was this lady, and she said, like, so you're a doctor? And I said, that's correct. And she said, well, I'm really tired, and I want to try to go into a new business where you start a line of supplements with me. And then if you do that, you still have to pay to get your painting hung on my wall. And I said, that doesn't sound like a very good deal on either one.
Either one. Yeah.
I said, like, I'm not going to pay you anything to hang my painting on your wall, and I sure am not going to go into the supplement business with you, because I just met you like 10 minutes ago. So, her focus was on that.
Right.
And I just took my painting, started walking out the door, and she was following me out the door, just saying, like, oh, we could do so well in the supplement business. And it was like, I don't think so. But it
was this gallery in like the back of a van or something? In an alleyway?
It actually was in a pretty good spot of town, but I was just so surprised by her actions,
I was getting flashbacks of the old sitcom In Living Color and the Homeboy Shopping Network. That's what that's like.
But I was just like, so you just get exposed to all these different things. And then my second experience in New York, this must be like the line that they love to use, because this time it was a woman, and she had this, I'll try to do my best British accent, because that's what she was doing. Okay. She's like, and again, it's my dear sir, my dear sir, obviously you haven't done your research. You haven't done your research, because we only accept the finest artists in the world and the finest art. So I do what I did to the last guy. I started looking on, like, okay, let me see what you got. And there was a painting, and it was, I guess a good way to describe it, it was like a triangular pile with eyes on it, and it was brown. And I said, just for the sake of asking, I said, does that artist have a deal with Apple? And she's like, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I said, well, that to me looks just like the poo emoji. And she just started dying laughing. And then she said, in a perfect American voice, if you will, she said, well, you got me on that one.
That's pretty good.
So I said, like, you know, I think that, you know, you just keep going with your British accent if that works for you, but it's just time to say goodbye. I said, because I'm not buying what you're selling. But again, instead of just like, hey, you know, I appreciate what you got, but we just don't have any room. But they have to just do that.
Yes, continuously.
Yeah. And then I had one in Chicago where I was talking to this lady, and she said, well, you know, the only people that are accepted to our gallery are the ones who've been to school. And I said, well, I should qualify. I said, because I seriously doubt anyone you've got there has been to school longer than I have. And she said, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, 4 years of undergrad, pre-med, 4 years of med school, 5 years of surgical residency. I said, that's quite a bit of school. She said, oh, no, I'm talking art school. I said, oh, okay. And then she proceeded to tell me, and the facts supposedly is that it's very hard to get representation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it's close to like 100% of artists do not get.
Well, if you look at the amount of artists, you and I have talked about this before. You know, my son studies. What is the number of people who consider themselves artistic?
I think it's around here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like 3 million that make a living doing art, but like according to some of the statistics, 165 to 170 million people create art every year.
Is that globally or?
No, it's here in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's pretty remarkable. Mm-hmm. And like 80% of the artists who are represented have had some sort of formal art training. And 20% have not, and I've never had any kind of schooling or training as far as creating art.
You know, and that's a lot of people hinge on that, but and as people know from previous podcasts, I have identical twin girls, and I have an older daughter, their older sister, and she's a master's degree, Emmy-nominated producer for the evening news, and she's a writer, creative writer, loves to write novels, and goes around doing all the roundtables with the authors and book shows and fairs for libraries and everything. The twins, who are very introverted but very sweet, they have been doing artwork their entire lives, and they're in their 20s now. They've had their art featured in like little local hot spots, like Galleria places for art shows where they've won awards, but they've never went to art school. We tried to beg them. They said, if I go to art school, because of the way they do their art, some sculpting, some painting, drawing, they even redo classical dolls and everything down to the most minute detail, redo parts. Their fear was, and nothing wrong with this, because I think if you've got the opportunity to go to art school and that's your passion, God bless you, go for it. They were just afraid I think it's a lot like you, Steve, so they have a lot of the same brain interactions, right versus left. They were afraid because they have their technique down so well, and so many people have just been astounded and love their art like they do yours. They were afraid if they went to art school, they were actually going to mess up what they did. It's kind of like a SpongeBob episode when they were kids. When SpongeBob did art, he could do it perfectly. When Squidward, the other character, I know it's SpongeBob we're talking about, two grown men, but when Squidward was the art teacher, and he decided to have SpongeBob do it by the book and by the training, and he lost all his artistic talent.
Yeah, and I think that's very true. If you put me in a situation where somebody's trying to instruct me on what to do and how to do it, I don't think I would be successful at all.
Because you developed your own unique way of doing your canvases and prepping them and everything. We won't go into that, but I mean, that's something you came up with, right?
Right, I came up with different ideas about how I wanted to do it, and again, it's all done with sticks and knives. There's no brushes, and so that makes it very unique in that sense. But I can say that my glaucoma, there's nothing like having the threat of something taken away to make you appreciate things more. And so I was diagnosed with severe glaucoma had both eyes operated on twice to save my vision, and fortunately, so far so good. I can't get better. I can only stay the same or get worse. But the whole point of that was it gave me an appreciation that I've never had before, as far as color, texture, that sort of thing. So my goal was, if I create a piece of art and that goes into your home, then if somebody walks past it or whatever, they are going to notice it. And so you want your art to be noticed. And a lot of people, they try to create art that's going to match what is in the most stylish home, that sort of thing, with colors and all that. Whereas I even got a painting one time, it was so bizarre, I named the painting, "This Won't Match Your Sofa." So, it's one of those things where, you just throw things out there, but I love color and texture. I just really love to use that. And so the whole thing about us is that, you look at all of the art that's created, and creativity is innately human.
Right.
And it's been around since there have been cave walls. So people love to create art. And I think a lot of art is underappreciated, undervalued.
Well, it's a great investment.
Oh yeah.
Look at the last, 30 years of the studies that were done. Forbes magazine posted this recently, that between 1996 and 2022, the art outperformed, and had for the last 30 years, outperformed the S&P 500. So you've got art was an average of about 12.6% appreciation, and the S&P was about 9%. That's a huge deal.
It's pretty remarkable.
And most people aren't even aware of it.
No, and I think that it's a very important point, because when you look at it as an investment tool, if you get the right one or ones, it can be a substantial financial gain for you.
And you've been very successful, without boasting on yourself, but from my understanding, you're one of the top niche artists for abstract artistry in your main gallery in that area.
I've been very fortunate in that people, the art has spoken to them. And for me, especially as being a physician, there was a customer who he's bought a couple of pieces of my art because there's autism in the family, and one of the children who's autistic started looking at my art and started talking more than he had before about how the art affected him. And so that was very, it just made me feel good as a physician. I felt like I was making a contribution to someone's health and for the better. And again, that's one of the reasons that we had talked about creating this art gallery for everybody. Right. Because we thought, I've seen and heard, and I know you have too, that people look at a certain painting and it will be a painting that sold for millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And somebody say well, I've seen better art than that on my refrigerator. So it's like, you know what? We're going to give you a shot at displaying that art. We're going to give you a shot. So we'll take everything, the Williams-Snodgrass Art Gallery. I feel like we're very unique. We will not take any pornography. So that eliminates that element. But we give everybody a chance, and I'll let you go over more on the intricacies of the gallery itself, because I think the way that we arrange that, the way that we set that up, is extremely unique if you compare it to other online galleries and right. things like that. So
it took well over a year to put that together, and we have tech teams because of other businesses we do that helped us structure it. But I was looking at doing a website, online style gallery just for my daughters. And then, Steve and I got talking, and, he gave me one of his paintings as a gift, and everybody that sees it just goes on and on about it. And it is for sale for $1.5 million. So I can misplace it, he can paint another. So as his brother probably feels.
Like, I gotta get a cut of that somewhere.
Yeah, you will. I'll get a picture of it. But when Steve started talking, that's how the gallery came about. He said, would you mind helping me put my stuff online and getting this going? And I said, well, I'm already looking at doing this. And then we started talking, and his stories about galleries, and then my twin saying, I don't need all that rejection. I don't need all that headache, because people just make you feel bad. And in today's, society, there's enough depression and anxiety and distress out there. Who needs to be added to by somebody that's working behind a clerk's desk that probably may have been an art major, but has never done a major piece of artwork. I'm not knocking them again, but I'm just saying that, people love to bring other people down at times, and that's what we're about. So we decided to put this together and base it off something that's very simplistic, that the artist basically just has to go to the site, they open up a free account, or their art store there, they can load whatever they want. Each submission, though, is $5. The way that we handle that is, when you sell something, so let's say, and I'm going to give you a link at the end of this. Also, I'm going to let a 2.5-minute video that we have produced that shows you and walks you through everything you need to know to get through the process of becoming an artist with us, and you can consider yourself a gallery representative. It's a Williams-Snodgrass Art Gallery. It's a beautiful site. We have multiple categories, as Steve knows. We have categories from everything from abstract to pottery to sculptures, to jewelry, if that's what you're into. If you're into Appalachian arts like quilting or pottery or painting, whatever it is, there's something there for you. We partner up with charities like Tunnel to Towers and children's charities to give back a portion of our proceeds, which doesn't come out of the artist's pocket again, because the way the gallery's set up is, we'll take it for instance, let's say you've got a young artist or an old artist, doesn't matter, pediatric or geriatric, and what's going to happen is,
that's right,
they want to sell something for example purposes. You want to sell something for $100. Okay, great. You paid your $5, it gets listed on there. That price of $100 is yours. What the site does automatically, it generates a 20% upcharge on that. So the price would actually be listed at $120. Once you sell that piece of artwork and it's confirmed that it's shipped or it's been picked up and everything's good, your money's immediate. We don't touch it. Your money's automatically through a gateway system for payments. Your money's automatically released into your account, whatever that may be, whether it's bank, PayPal, Stripe, whatever, crypto, whatever it is, that's where it goes to. And then the 20% comes back to Steve and I, which is the upcharge. Out of that 20%, we pay for the upkeep and maintenance of the website, the tech teams, the ongoing upgrades. We pay for all the advertising on multiple social media accounts. We have an Instagram account with over 1 million followers currently, so we're very blessed. And we keep increasing that in our other platforms. So you'll be advertised and shown all over. None of that costs the artist a dime. That's whether you got one piece of art on there or you've got 100 pieces of art on there. Those pieces of art stay on there. We follow up with emails to make sure that you're still one alive, that you're also still, maybe your prices go up afterwards, I don't know. But to make sure that everything's still good. Nothing like putting a piece of artwork on and then 4 months from now, you sell that piece of artwork and you say, well, it was in my attic, I can't find it. That's not going to be good. So we verify and make sure. We also only take original arts. We're not an art gallery that allows you to resell other people's art. So if you're an art gallery, you can't join. But if you're an artist with an art gallery, it doesn't matter to us if you want to list on there also. We'll let you do that. We have digital art. We have connections where we do NFT art. We're working on right now a fractionalization for art to be done so that you can actually sell your art in fractions, not just in a whole piece, if it's a digital piece of art. Steve and I have a lot of stuff where it's like live art shows, online auctions. You can also become part of what we're getting ready to release, which is the first in ours, which is an AI metaverse gallery. So if you're into VR or into metaverse stuff, you can actually get in, your art is then listed and put up, just like you're walking through a gallery, those that are familiar with VR systems and artificial worlds like spatial and all that. And then Your art is hung with a QR code and a link that goes back to your page where they can actually either make contact, if it be commission work that they want from you, or if it be that piece of art or another piece of art that you have that they want to buy. So we've tried to make this as simple as possible so that everybody, no matter what their language, no matter what their skill set, or family member, if it's an elderly person that's not familiar with computers, all that is done in a very simplistic way. And it's a very classy website, like Steve said, so we don't allow pornography, but it doesn't matter the age, everything comes on, everything is secured. We make sure of that because we have a really good security team that checks everything out, and I'm also part of that, so I make sure with my background that we keep the cybersecurity up and ahead of the curve for most people. But unlike a lot of galleries where you're paying a monthly fee, you're paying a submission fee sometimes, or a hefty fee on the front end, plus advertising, or you can pay to be in these advertising groups, you can pay to get your artwork featured on their pages. We don't do that. We made it very simple, as like I said, and as a matter of fact, we'll take a break here for just a second and we'll let you actually see the video so you can see how simplistic it is.
Welcome to Williams-Snodgrass Art Gallery, LLC, your gateway to a world of creativity and expression. As an artist, we invite you to join our vibrant community and showcase your talent to a global audience. Let us embark on this artistic journey together. Visit our website at williamssnodgrassart.com and click on Artist Submission or Registration in the top navigation bar. Read the information in the Selling Platform section, enter the required details, and click Register. After registering, click on the Let's Go button to set up your store. Upload a captivating banner and provide essential details such as your shop name, email, phone, address, and shop description. Payment setup, preferred payment method. Choose your preferred payment method from PayPal or Stripe to streamline transactions. Policies. Define your store policies to ensure clarity for your customers. Customer support. Set up your customer support details for a seamless interaction with your buyers. SEO. Optimize your store for search engines to enhance visibility. Social setup. Connect your store to social media platforms, leveraging our commitment to maximizing your reach. Congratulations. Your store is ready. Experience a smoother and more peaceful artistic journey. Add your products and start counting your sales. Navigating your dashboard. Explore your dashboard for a comprehensive overview of your store. Everything you need is at your fingertips. Adding products? Click on products and then add new. A submission fee of $5 per piece of artwork uploaded applies. Your convenience is our priority, and we offer multiple payment options, including PayPal or Stripe. Showcase your artwork by uploading your images, adding the title, filling in the description of your artwork along with dimensions, weight, and any other pertinent information. Set your desired asking price. You can set an asking price and an on-sale price if you wish. The gallery platform automatically adds 20% to your asking price for the gallery commission, and so that you receive 100% commission on selling your artwork. If your product is a digital downloadable image, check the downloadable box. If not, artwork is assumed to be physical art. Add your product title, add your asking pricing. For the short description, add your artwork again, then a description of the piece of artwork. Once you have done this, choose the category you would like to have your work listed in. Complete any other information about shipping or services you offer, such as custom commission pieces. Then, submit. You can also save as a draft if you need to make changes or want to list later. Now is the time to unleash your creativity and share your art with the world. Join Williams-Snodgrass Art Gallery, LLC today.
And one of the things too, you mentioned it, that I think is so important is that we don't charge a monthly fee, because you can, if you join some of these other online galleries and you pay a monthly fee and your art doesn't sell, you're still having to pay a monthly fee to get it shown. And by the time, and then a lot of them will charge a really hefty commission on top of it. And so by the time that you're paying monthly fees, you're paying out a large commission, you've bought all the material to create the art. Even if you sell it, you're going to be lucky just to see any kind of profit.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to make this simple for you and not get bogged down in monthly payments and that sort of thing. So I feel we're in a very good position on that. artist friendly.
Yes, artist friendly.
Very artist friendly.
So absolutely, and like Steve said, now that you've got to see that video, there's no monthly cost. You just, like I said, you have that free account. You have questions. We are always available through phone, through email. You'll actually be able to text us or message through our many different platforms. We have some exciting things that the gallery actually is over. Like the gallery actually is over the Dr. Frank and Steve podcast, and Steve and I have some things coming up and some partnerships we have done that we can't announce yet, but that are solidified. That's just going to blow the art world. It's going to blow their mind because it's something everybody complains about that nobody's doing. So we're asking everybody, you'll be able to go to the Williams-Snodgrass Art.com. You'll see all that for yourself. And our goal is, like I said, is to represent as many people as possible. Get you out globally because somebody in your area may not like it. Maybe somebody in another area does. And as artists, some of the nicest people you meet, but artists can be kind of weird also. Be a little obnoxious also. I've spoken to people in the art world, different art communities through like state programs for children and for adults or special needs program. Some of them are very sweet, but some of them, like Steve said, they can be just as arrogant as if they were running a Sotheby's. And that's really not what the art world's about. I am more autistic than artistic, and I know people get on me for saying that, but I can't draw a straight line, let alone a crooked one hardly. So my talents lie in other areas because I'm Italian. So, but what ends up happening is we want to bring all this together so that everybody has the opportunity to spread, because what you might think, oh, nobody's going to see my art, nobody's going to do this. My twins are that way sometimes. I think it's fantastic that when people see it, they have an emotional response, and you don't know who's going to create that. You may lift someone's spirits by just saying, you know what, that's going to look so beautiful, sculpture, painting, quilt, hanging, depending on the room or the area you want it into, man cave, she shed, whatever it might be. You don't know, business, lobby, foyer, gallery. We want to give that opportunity, and a couple of things, like I said, we're planning. We're heavily into blockchain, so that is coming along with what we are doing, as well as Steve has done art shows before. Like I said, he's a very respected and successful painter. We are looking at bringing those people who are around different areas and doing this in different states, where we actually are able to feature live art shows for the artists that are on our gallery, to give them a place to go and kind of be represented, be appreciated, and kind of just have their night and their moment to shine. So
there's a lot of intangibles with this that, to me, like as a surgeon, where I would have a patient who had obviously a very significant injury or illness, and they would trust me enough to be placed on the operating table, be put to sleep, basically a controlled death, have me open their bodies, fix what's broken or take out what's broken, put it back together, and then I'm with that patient literally until they get back on their feet again. So that's usually a couple of months, a couple of 3 months after surgery and that sort of thing. And so there's quite a feeling about that, where somebody trusts you enough to do that, and you become part of them. You become part of them, and you become part of their family. And that, again, I've alluded to that, calling that a patient-physician bond. And it truly is a sacred bond. And I look at selling a piece of art, to me, it's validating for you as an artist. And then there's no higher compliment than being a part of someone else's home. And that art could be remembered for a lifetime. So it's like, I remember a painting that my parents had, and it's still hanging in my father's house now. That I just remember that as a kid. And so all of that art just sticks with you. And so to become part of the family is just very important. And, I was traveling, and I had my paintings with me, and the bellman brought the paintings up to my hotel room. And he looked at the paintings, And this guy was in his 60s, and he actually started crying. And he said, "Did you create this?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "It reminds me of home." And and he said, "I'm from Tibet, and my family was killed, and the colors you use in this painting are just like the wildflowers in Tibet." I mean, he was moved to the point of tears. And I thought about saying, like, well, of course I knew that I was using the wildflower colors of Tibet. but I didn't. But the whole point was, it was like the guy was so moved by the painting. I was like, that just really speaks to you. Just like I've done something that has moved somebody like that, and it is validating. And the thing about it is, on something like this, you never know what this may start. There may be a kid out there who doesn't know they have talent, or their parents think they may have some talent that's unrecognized. They put it on the gallery, it gets bought, and now that kid is an artist who is selling their work.
Yes, and it's something that we'll also allude to in our upcoming couple podcasts that are going to continue the art discussion. But recently, women, along with children, who have been the most underrated categories in the art world, are really starting to pick up. Statistics show that women alone are starting to really move in and be accepted, and their artworks being comparable to what male artists sell at. Children the same way. There are many articles out just here recently with different magazines and different art associations that are saying where people were always kind of skeptical and about buying art from children. Now it's becoming a collector's niche, that people are wanting to see some of these young artists that they can see talent, or maybe they're what they perceive as talent for these children, buy their art and start collecting from a young age and follow these kids as they go through their career, because what they're finding is those collections, as they go on, some of that original artwork, and you probably can attest to, Steve, some of the original artwork that an artist does can be some of the most valuable.
Oh, absolutely. And early on in your career, like the first time that I did some of these paintings, I know that I have evolved. And I know that sounds kind of weird for an abstract artist, because it's like, well, how can you evolve when you're basically throwing paint against the canvas using knives and sticks? But you learn different techniques, and you learn different ideas, and then you start applying them. You literally start with a blank canvas, and I have no idea what I'm going to paint. I have no idea what it's going to look like when it's finished. I can start with this preconceived notion of like, well, this is kind of what I want that painting to look like when I'm finished with it. And it's just completely different. So you don't have any idea. And that's part of the allure, and literally part of the fun of it. And to me, what it's done for me is that I get lost in the painting. I think subconsciously, for me, I think that painting has taken the place of me operating as a surgeon. I think that because when you're operating in surgery, and there's a massive injury, or there's a lot of chaos, and as a surgeon you must find calm in the chaos. And so to me, like when you start with this patient and then you start with this blank canvas, I mean, I treat every painting like an intensive care unit patient. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, I know how finicky you are.
And even though
your wife says so anyway.
Yes, that's very true. but it's like they're just like children to you. I mean, and at first you want to keep them all, but just like, no, you can't do that. You got to take them out and sell them and
make more child support.
But it truly is. It's you get so attached to them, and you do have favorites. And it's just like, I had one that I did. This one gallerist that I have, she's extremely familiar with my work, and a lot of times she will act kind of as a muse for me, because I'll send her a photograph and she'll say, you know, I can sell that painting within a week or less, and she's like batting 1,000. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is so far. I know some of the ones you said, hey, I got to run this and have this delivered to such and such because I'm going, okay. And she's, and the next thing I know, you're calling and saying, they already got it sold.
Yeah, I mean, and
these aren't small paintings either.
No, and it's like they have a certain eye for it, and they know their customer base very well, and they know exactly, hey, that guy with that personality matches that painting perfectly, and she knows that. So a lot of times in galleries, it seems like you have people who, she refers to them as clock punchers. They don't really, they're not really engaged in the selling, in the selling process. Whereas, like in a perfect world, you want a gallerist that's committed, that loves art, and they're committed to selling. And whatever they do, they get that sale. And to me, it's like when you get that sale, I mean, I've sold a lot of paintings, and I've been very fortunate. I've been featured in magazine articles. My work's been featured in well-known magazine articles. So I've been extremely fortunate. But I wanted to bring the art that's not seen, the art that's not appreciated. I wanted to bring that out to the forefront. And so the two of us got together, started talking about all this, and especially with what your daughters have done as well. And it just gives the art a voice that otherwise may not get one. Absolutely. And to have unrealized or underappreciated art is a bad thing, because this is creativity again is so human.
Yes.
And
the human psyche, the recognition of that creativity by someone, as you said, on a personal level, that moves them. It gives the greatest feeling for that person in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's just like, when the rock stars are out performing or whatever, and there's this exchange of energy between the band and the crowd and that sort of thing. I mean, it's real. It's very real. And so when you create something that gets sold, and they're saying like, hey, we need to get more paintings down here because it's hard to kind of keep up with demand, that sort of thing, it's such a great feeling. And we want everybody to unleash the creativity that maybe not been released yet. We want you to say, you know what, he did it. He had no training. I can do the same thing. I'm going to go for it. And so we encourage creativity. And then we want to take it one step further by selling it, because there's no feeling like that, being accepted by a complete stranger, and they take you in their homes, and it's just an indescribable feeling.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit. Like I said, you've seen the video. You have the links to the gallery. Our next podcast, we're going to continue on with art. We're going to be continuing on in an area of art and healthcare, which is art and healing and what it does, and why we want to be the leaders in the forefront of this. There are many great programs for art therapy out there, but we feel that with what we have and the people and the organization we have partnered with to date, we're going forward to make this a national cause and also a global cause.
Yeah, it is. And to me, at my very core or foundation, I will always consider myself a physician. You can't help that, because it's something that's in you before you went to medical school, and it stays with you. And this whole thing about the healing power of art, we have learned so much. And we want to make this part of usual and customary care, and we'll show you why in the next video.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it, and thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you. We welcome your comments, at support at drfrankandsteve.com. Just give us a holler. If it's something you'd like us to cover or to go over, some comments we may cover on the podcast, and some we may not, depending on what they are, but those we'll ignore. Our personalities are service-oriented, but also straightforward. So we appreciate it. You guys have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you.